Andrew from SACS, and welcome to video number 4 in our 8-video sequence on leadership for resilience. In this video, we'll be talking about nurture and resilience. And in the previous video, we talked about nature and resilience. And then in following videos, we go on to talk about the practical question of how to lead effectively for resilience. Let's talk a little bit about values, because it can be shown that values have an effect on people's levels of resilience. People, if they live and work in an environment where values are really clear, it's really clear what we stand for as a group, those people will be more resilient. We know that values can infuse people with a sense of resilience by virtue of the clarity that gives about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. But as well as that, resilience can be affected by the degree to which a person's values correspond with the people around them. One of the things that we know is that the value set of groups vary enormously within one organisation. So you can have a team here and a team there, and they can be very different from a values point of view. Obviously, there will be this thing called corporate culture, which may mean that there's a kind of a consistency in some aspects of the values within a group. But a team of accountants has a different value set typically than a team of people who are in customer service, let's say. Now, if my values correspond closely with the group that I belong to, then I'm much more likely to be resilient. There's a sense of confidence that comes from that cohesion of values, and as well as that, it makes it easier for us to have a shared view about what it is that we're trying to achieve, and that creates a sense of optimism which can assist in resilience. So here is a model of values. This is the SACS Values Scale, a set of results from that tool. The science of values is different from the values that people typically have on their value statement in their organisation. People often have values that are descriptive and often quite vague, but there is a science of measurement of values. A fellow by the name of Shalom Schwartz is one of the most important researchers in the world, and with Deakin University going back a couple of years ago, Simon Albrecht and I undertook a study where we sought to create a work-worded values profile. And this is what we came up with. This is building on the work of Schwartz and correlates heavily with some aspects of his measure of values. And what it's really saying is that in work-related values, you'll see this person has a very strong commitment to environmental sustainability, social justice, safety, and helping and supporting, but not so much on this kind of more job-related or ambitious aspect of the person's value set. So autonomy, for instance, not that keen on that. Ambition, not necessarily drivingly ambitious, around about population average. Authority, which means the desire to be the boss. Again, a very low score there. And traditional values, about average, but over here, variety, the need for variety or the desire for variety, that's not a very strong driver for this particular individual. But the essence of all of this is fine if the person's working in an organisation where those values are the same. So if he's working in a team where the focus is on helping and supporting people, on social justice, on environmental sustainability, on safety, and on rule respecting, then this person is likely to be more resilient and much more likely to be able to fit in. In the last video, we talked about things that are largely genetically determined, like cognitive ability and personality. Values are largely learned in the course of life. And so the values that we learn can make us resilient in a more general sense, because if we've got clear values, that can help. But as well as that, it can condition us or prepare us to fit into certain work groups better because of the fact that our values will have consonance with those work groups. So that's a little bit more about nurture and resilience. So the next video will be population findings on resilience. And what we'll be doing in that video is showing you some information about, for instance, are there industry sectors which tend to be more resilient than others? Are there certain characteristics in terms of age where people are more or less resilient than others? So join us for the next video to find out a little bit more about what we know about how resilience varies across these population groups.